Good afternoon, and welcome to Real-Time Insights for Operational Success, hosted by Crux Analytics. My name is Daniela. I have a Bachelor of Science in Geology, and my background is in mineral exploration, predominantly precious and base metal industries. Today, I am here to give you some insights on how to get control of your balance sheet with Crux, tracking your operations from start to finish, maintaining one source of truth. Before we start, please feel free to ask questions in the chat throughout the webinar, as we have team members ready to answer them as they come. Thank you. So on our agenda today, I will first address some of the issues that we have encountered in the field and also from our customers during manual data entry and reconciliation of costs. Then I will give you a brief explanation of how Crux works, and I will go into more detail regarding three of the main components. First, I will talk about the possibility of tracking site preparation and all the pre-drilling and ongoing costs. Then I will talk about real-time analysis of drilling status versus budget, going into some detail regarding plans and drilling progress and holes and hole attributes. Lastly, I will talk about cost reconciliation and what that looks like on Crux, all in one place. I will also show you some of our pre-configured dashboards along the way. And finally, I will conclude by doing a recap of how Crux can help you achieve operational success from start to finish. How many times have we chased down pieces of paper for information, be it timesheets, survey sheets, in some cases even geological logs, or chased after the most updated Excel sheet with all the information we need? Well, yes, today we have a suite of softwares available to us to minimize this paper hunt. We are still facing inefficiencies when it comes to data entry and more specifically, analysis of set data. When I first started in this industry, part of my job was to deconstruct invoices and reconcile them against timesheets. Additionally, I was transcribing PDFs and photos of timesheets into Excel so that we could actually use them. Not only was this very time consuming, but my bosses and I, we had about 3 different versions going on at all times, all tracking the same things, but differently at the same time. But more on this later. Another issue that Crux tackles is real-time cost reconciliation against drill hole and drilling status. Time and time again, budget tracking is met with delays and invoice timelines, and this cost reconciliation is done at a later time. For example, we have a client, a major mining company, and with the help of Crux, they were able to reconcile their costs incurred and immediately find thousands of dollars worth of discrepancies that would have otherwise been very difficult to identify. They've also been able to properly track their operations in real time against their budget and make better informed decisions about their operations, as well as addressing some of the issues that they've run into along the way. This highlights the importance of having validated and reviewed data in real time, allowing our customers to visualize their operations and identify mistakes a lot faster. This way, things are dealt with right away, rather than flying under the radar, incurring further costs. And another issue is that comparing different contractors or data from different projects is very difficult without standardized data. And it is also inefficient to manually reconcile this information from different contractors in order to be able to compare them, to compare some of the costs, and even other aspects of drilling programs. So Crux, digital data, better analytics. These are some of the key benefits. Cost reconciliation, your costs are tracked in real time with validated and approved data. You can manage your drilling campaigns by comparing your budget to your project status and see real-time progress between your meters drilled and your costs incurred, minus that manual reconciliation. You can also track your expenses per hole, allowing for better planning and budgeting when it comes to areas of complex drilling. And you can track your hole deviation, allowing for a visual representation of what's happening at depth and tracking surveys without the paper hunt. You can also compare your drilling contractors by setting KPIs. You can keep your operations and your contractors consistent. Once again, it is easier to compare them with standardized data. So how does it work? First, you set up your contract with your driller in Crux. This is where the activities to be performed by the drillers, as well as the consumables, your equipments, and other contract details are configured. Once both parties agree, we can move on to entering reports and the two-step approval process. We have an awesome support team here in Calgary and in Perth, Australia, and they will walk you through the whole configuration of the contract. They will also train your drillers on how to enter reports and timesheets. They'll teach your staff how to approve these reports, and we will essentially provide support every step of the way. Next, you can then your drilling contractor can enter your daily shift reports and your timesheets through the Crux Log app at the field level. Once a daily shift report for each of the rigs is submitted, the drilling contractor will validate the information on the Crux Metrics web browser platform. This is where your drilling contractor will review and edit any of the information if necessary. Once this is done, the reports are ready for the client's revision and approval. The mining client is essentially the final say. They can either approve the data if it looks correct and move on to the analytics, or they can reject the report, provide a reason for this rejection, and this will then send the DSR back to the drilling contractor for them to fix this mistake. The analytics work best with approved data. In fact, the two-step approval and validation process is designed so that the drilling contractor will catch mistakes, if any, before it even gets to the client, minimizing this back and forth between the two and also allowing for mistakes to not be propagated forward. So Crux, the first point on today's agenda is the site preparation and earthworks. Earthworks can be done by the drilling company or by a third party, and tracking these with Crux is super easy through the use of timesheets. The timesheets are used to track the hours and activities of workers that aren't tied to a specific rig. In other words, the people that move in between them providing support, such as your mechanics, your foremen, and your fitmen. Also, with timesheets, you have the option to track your earthworks activities at a high level. Say you choose one activity, pad building, you select your hours, 12, your workers, your equipments, and in the comments, your workers may include details of what their day looked like, such as 4 hours of using a chainsaw, 2 hours bulldozing, and 6 hours clearing a pad. However, if the client wants a more detailed breakdown of what the earthworks activities look like, that is also possible by configuring more specific activities for your workers to select from. In this case, you can see bulldozer work, 2 hours, chainsaw, 4 hours, and pad clearing, 6 hours. This way, if the client wants to keep a detailed record of what the pad building activity breakdown looks like, this is possible, be it for budgeting rentals relative to how much time they are actually used, keep track of fuel, and perhaps just get a better picture of what the cost incurred look like during earthworks. And most importantly, these costs pertaining to the site preparation aspect of drilling programs is reflected in one place and reconciliated against the budget. And if you don't track earthworks at all, no problem. You can track all of these other aspects of drilling programs that may impact your budget with timesheets, such as surveying, prospecting, helicopter support during helicopter assisted operations, camp costs, etc. Next up is our second point, and it is the drilling status versus the budget. Under the Plans tab, you are able to track your drilling progress in terms of your meters drilled relative to the planned drilling and estimated depth for each month. I have seen Project Geo spend hours deconstructing timesheets in an attempt to put figures like these together at month end. The data to put these together is extracted directly from the validated and approved DSRs with no manual data entry required, saving you time and energy. There is also a GIS visualization to the right, showing you the holes pertaining to this plan and their current status. This is great because it helps you track the current status of your holes if there is more than one active rig in the project area. If we were to scroll down in this same page, you would see a list of the drill holes belonging to this plan and a lot of relevant details regarding each one, such as your hole status, your hole ID, your surveys, if there's any that are pending review, like you can see here, your contractor if you were to have more than one, your project, your plant depth, your maximum depth, your last activity date, and in my opinion, the best part is the cost associated to each hole. I used to calculate the cost per hole by cross-referencing timesheets with deconstructed invoices. And let me tell you, that took a lot of time. And like I had mentioned earlier, my bosses and I, we had 3 different Excel sheets going at all times, meaning there was no version control, and we each had discrepancies everywhere. With Crux, all of this information is available in one centralized place, available to all your relevant team members, and you no longer run into an issue of version control. You are all working with the exact same data in real time, and these numbers come from validated data. So it's really, really cool, and it's really powerful stuff. And Crux also comes with a whole suite of pre-configured dashboards created with Power BI. This is the plan progress dashboard, showing you an overview of the data. On the left-hand side, we see all of these filters that can help us constrain the data we want to see. In this case, I have selected a surface drill type. And to the top right-hand corner, we have our units, our currency, and our date range. At the top is the information that we have set up as part of our plans. These are essentially the benchmarks of the overall program, such as our budget, our planned meters to be drilled, etc. Below it are the actual analytics giving us the current breakdown of where we are in our program per date range. We also see our budget, a forecast, and a chart comparing our charges and our budget. Below it are 2 figures showing us the daily penetration by day, week, and month, and the activity hours per day, week, and month. These dashboards are built into the system, but you can also create custom dashboards to suit your unique project scopes. Now, onto the second part of the drilling status versus budget, the holes and the hole attributes. Under the holes page, under hole path, we can see the deviation down hole in purple relative to the planned or proposed hole here in green. This can be easily done by entering and approving the surveys into the system. This can either be done by the drillers at the field level, or it can be done after the fact by importing the surveys into the system through a CSV. We even calculate analytics based on path deviation. As you can see here, the arrows are in red, suggesting we may be deviating a little more than planned. If this is not something we want to see, this could prompt you to address this with your drillers. This is extremely useful information because it is one source of truth for the relevant team members. You're working with validated and approved data because the surveys that come in through the app have to be approved, and the surveys that are imported through the Crux Metrics web browser platform have likely already been looked at and given the go-ahead. So you're no longer chasing down for survey sheets or waiting for a tablet to be synced to the cloud. You're working with this information in real time. If we were to select a specific hole to look at, we would get some more analytics and our core images. In this case, we see the efficiency rate and the penetration rate. And down below it, we see our core photos. We have an integration with Imago. So by linking your accounts, you can visualize your drilling analytics alongside your core photos. This is very powerful because it can help you visualize and identify areas of poor efficiencies, and also areas of low penetration rates, and even potential areas of trouble that are more difficult to drill through. And while Crux is not a geological logging software, there is immense value in having core photos alongside these analytics because as geologists, how often do we go back to the photos weeks and months later to try to piece together what was happening downhole? I know I used to, so it would have been really interesting to get these sort of readings alongside my photos. Another one of our pre-configured dashboards is the project status dashboard. At the top here, you can see we have the project status, the whole information, and the KPI review, which is what I have chosen to show you today. This is a summary of all the targets set by the mining client. At the top, we see our meters drilled per day, the penetration per day per drill, how many drills we have in this date range from 2022 to 2023, and a breakdown of the percentage of time spent on conditioning, standby, and downtime. We also see our yearly totals in the tables, our drill hours, our drill type, and our fluid total charges. There we go. To the left of the charts, we also see two figures. One showing us our activity hours by category, showing us our drilling, our moving, our surveys, etc. And we also see activity hours by billable type. This dashboard provides a high-level overview of the KPIs set to be tracked by the resource owner. And as before, these are configurable and customizable to your unique project scopes and requirements. And lastly, onto our last point of today, the cost reconciliation aspect of Crux. Right here, I am showing you the cost reconciliation dashboard. We have multiple tabs at the top. We see by date range, by hole, by day, and by shift report. Well, again, on the left-hand side, we have filters to constrain the data we want to see. And we can also select the date range. In the charts, we see the activity hours by activity breakdown and the charges by hours type. In both cases, we see that most of our activity hours and charges are going to drilling and to operating hours. And this is exactly what we want to see. In the table on the right-hand side here, I have expanded the drilling row and the operating row, showing a more detailed breakdown of the hours spent on these activities and the charges. I've also included the cost reconciliation dashboard by day, showing us the charges per drill per operating day, the total charges, and the operating days. At the bottom, if we were on the browser, we would be able to click on each of these rows to highlight a specific rig we want to see in the figure above. These dashboards are a great way to review your operations while your drilling campaign is ongoing, and even at the end. You can see how much drilling was done per day, what those costs look like, what the activity breakdown looked like, and it's just a great way to visualize your operations in real time with data that has been validated and approved. And lastly, here we have the billing report. It is a summary available for export where the data from your daily shift reports and your timesheets is consolidated in a very detailed manner. Your costs are broken down in the different categories configured in the contract, such as your drilling, your activities, and your equipments. And it also includes a detailed breakdown of these activities per drill hole. This way, it is easy to visualize not only the specific cost of each hole, but also identify potential areas that may be a bit more complex to drill through and require either more experienced crews or a better allocation of your consumables. This billing report also provides tabs at the bottom of the Excel with all the raw data extracted from the daily shift reports, allowing resource owners to implement it in whichever way they like, be it for creating figures for reports, for internal reports, for information for stakeholders, etc. Some of our customers actually use the raw data, because they are interested in keeping track of specific rigs and crews and tracking their performance. In other words, you can monitor the different facets of the data that has been captured. The beauty of this billing report is that it also requires very little manual input and cross-referencing. It is built into the system so that by the time a resource owner reaches this point, all they need to do is select the contract, the date range they are interested in, and their drilling contractor, because the data, again, used to create this billing report has already been validated and approved. And some of our customers actually use the billing report to reconcile with an invoice that has been received. So, to conclude, I have shown you 3 of the key functionalities that Crux offers resource owners. With Crux, you can monitor your operations from start to finish in one place. To recap, I have walked you through earthworks and being able to track pad and road building with the use of timesheets. I have walked you through holes and being able to track the activities and their costs, as well as the deviation down hole, your core photos with Imago, and your drilling progress on a month-to-month basis. Lastly, I have shown you the billing report and the cost reconciliation dashboards, where you see a summary of your costs per activity and also per hole, giving you a detailed breakdown of your incurred costs. With Crux, you have one source of truth. All your drilling activity data is collected, standardized, and approved in real time, creating easier, better informed decision making and analysis. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you again for joining us today for our webinar. You can receive a recording of this in your email following the webinar in about an hour. If you also go to the Q&A section of our webinar, you can find a place to book a demo with any of our team members, as well as reach out to our sales team if you have any further questions following this as well. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Michelle, also with Crux. I can answer your question, Chip. It is actually, we can do integrations with pretty much anybody who is able and willing to integrate on their end. Acquire specifically, we don't have a specific API with them, but we are able to integrate on a number of levels. Actually, I see Joe is here somewhere. He can probably speak more to this, but we definitely can integrate with Acquire and a number of survey tools already. Any other questions? Well, why don't we can wrap up now, and obviously feel free to reach out if you like any more information, and we will have more webinars coming up. Thanks, everyone.